For a reception. Fancy seeing you here. What do you make of today? Are you surprised?
Yeah, very, because we were all thinking that it was going to be October or November. And in some respects, Rishi Sunak isn't known for being particularly bold and taking a risk, right? This is about whether fortune favours the brave, I think. Having said that, having had a few hours to digest the news, I can see the impetus behind him. You know, there's been a good economic result today with inflation down to 2.3%. Labour all week have been at 6s and 7s over their policy on the Middle East. You know, David Lammy seemingly going against the grain of the rest of the Western international community. When it comes to those ICC arrest warrants, I think the net migration figures are going to look a bit more favourable. Not sure about illegal migration and stopping the boats. If they go in July, they don't have another summer of channel crossings. There may be a little bit of sort of naivety and inexperience that have crept into this decision making. You know, the people in Downing Street behind us, they're not the most experienced. They aren't campaigners. They're not people who've
You're being very
decades.
generous, because you're forgetting that you might have 2 interest rate cuts by the MPC before any November election. There's a September possibility of a budget.
Yeah.
You've got falling net migration by September. You've got other things ticking up for the economy. Why not wait and use time as your friend?
Allows the opposition to mobilise. You know, he's caught Labour by surprise here, and equally Reform. I know Tom's just speaking to Nigel Farage. You know, is he standing? What's he doing? Is it going to be UK politics or US? Reform haven't got their candidates list together. In fact, recently they've had to get rid of a load. Labour haven't got a manifesto. No longer can Keir Starmer respond to every question you or I ask. Oh, we'll wait for the manifesto. What's in it? I actually think that degree of jeopardy that he's created with his speech a week on Monday ago and saying, you know, stick with me because I'm safer than Starmer, isn't a bad pledge. If you listen to the grey hairs in the Tory party, Ian Duncan Smith, David Davis, they say this is a wide gap in the polling, but it's shallow. There's loads of people who we saw in the local elections, which by the way had a historically low turnout. Look at the result of Blackpool South by-election. Labour won on fewer votes than it received in 2019. Loads of people, Chris, as you know, sitting on their hands. The dialogue in their mind is this though: I can't stand the Tories, they've let me down, they've squandered an 80-seat majority, they got rid of Boris, blah, blah, blah. But deep down, I know Labour will be even worse. And if Reform doesn't get its proverbial together, and if it doesn't have Nigel at the helm, then I think it's a weaker offering to people as an alternative. And they might just say to themselves, they might believe that promise from Rishi Sunak: be careful what you wish for, better the devil you know.
It's hardly an ambitious offering now. I mean, I'm less risky than the other guy. That's all they're saying. I mean, there's a chance here. And he's staked his entire political reputation on going early on an election. If the party goes to a disastrous defeat, as the polls suggest, he is personally blamed rather than partly corporately.
But do the polls suggest that? Because the local election result translated to a national picture suggests it's going to be a hung parliament. Admittedly, they didn't factor in Scotland. Polling's come out this week to suggest that Labour are now 10 points ahead of the SNP. But at the same time, at the moment, he's heading for, regardless of some of the other polling, the MRP polling, Starmer's heading towards hung parliament or minority government or small majority government. That gives them a very, very small glimmer of hope. I'm just explaining the rationale behind it. The trouble with this election campaign, Chris, as you know, we were discussing it in the Telegraph newsroom earlier, is it going to be a little bit of a bore-off? You know, we've seen the podium performance here. We then see Keir Starmer, the nasal knight, flanked by the Union Jack. Neither of them are particularly compelling. So
a bore-off that could be enlivened by Nigel Farage standing to be an MP. Should we ask him?
Can we have an answer, please, Nigel?
Nigel, we're asking you right now on behalf of
your colleagues.
Are you standing to be an MP at the July 4th general election? And Nigel Farage has gone, so we can't answer the question. Back to you, Tom.
Nigel said he would think about it overnight.